no homo, but I wasn't gon' lose, cause I wasn't gon' suck dick for no views. You see me if you see me, if not, then fuck it. I had to get a hold of myself.
Hey, what's up guys, and we are back with another vlog. Now if you guys are new, I do have another YouTube channel where I post nothing but let's plays and anything non-sports related. So if you guys are interested in videos like that from me, make sure to check for the link in the description and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you guys enjoy my content and what I do on this channel, make sure to hit that like button, guys. It definitely helps the channel grow. But this is a recap of Week 10 Baltimore Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns. That's game 2 of the season, man. For those of you who don't know, we play division rivals 2 times every season, right? So this was our second time playing the Browns. The first time we played the Browns, we were losing by 20 points. They scored like 20 points in the first quarter, and they didn't score for the rest of the game, and the Baltimore Ravens scored 25 unanswered points and then beating the Cleveland Browns 20-25. Dominating them after the first quarter. And then we play the Cleveland Browns for the second time, and it was pure dominance once again. The score this time being 7 Cleveland and 28 Baltimore. Bussing their asses, man. But let's talk about like why they did it. Now I have some of my things right here, man, just to point things out to you. So I'm going to be looking over here real quick. Both quarterbacks for the Browns, because 2 quarterbacks played during going up against Baltimore. 2 quarterbacks played in one game. Neither quarterback threw for 100 yards. You have Kessler throwing for 91, and you have McCown throwing for 59. Together, they threw for over 100 yards. The Browns threw for over 100 yards, but separately, no, they did not. Also, Kessler threw 1 touchdown pass, no interceptions, and McCown threw 2 interceptions. Now compare that to Flacco. Flacco threw for 4 yards off of 300 yards for going up against the Browns. So that was 296 yards with 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions thrown. Both of them were Flacco's fault. I don't know what he was thinking when he tried to throw that deep bomb to Steve Smith. Steve Smith, the cornerback was holding Steve Smith, right? So I understand why Steve Smith got frustrated. And but again, Flacco overthrew it, and the cornerback, in order to catch the interception, one, he was already in front of Steve Smith. Right? So the ball's being thrown over Steve Smith's head. Steve Smith has to run for it. So it was uncatchable for Steve Smith because he was already in front of him. There's no way he can get to the ball without like trying to claw over him or whatever, you know, and pass interference. It was not catchable for Steve Smith. Right? Unless Steve Smith was 6'5", maybe. But again, the cornerback being in front of Steve Smith and then getting pushed forward by Steve Smith, he still had to dive for the interception to get it. But good play on him. He got it. Joe Flacco, terrible ball. Shouldn't have been thrown. Don't know what he was thinking. Second interception, and if I'm not mistaken, that was... I don't remember the quarter. I think it was before half, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am mistaken. But it was by Joe Hayden, back of the end zone. Stupid pass. He had someone underneath as well. Don't know why he didn't just hit him or whatever. Throw the ball out of bounds if you're not comfortable with what you're seeing. I like that he took a chance, but he just threw a floater. He fucking threw a duck. You know what I mean? If you're going to throw something like that and you're on the run, motherfucker, that better be a laser. You know what I mean? You can't just, you know, whatever. So Joe Flacco threw a pick to Joe Hayden. But again, he also threw for nearly 300 yards, 3 touchdown passes. One to Waller, man. That was a wide receiver turned tight end. Dude is like 6'6" or something like that. Really good. I was excited about that. Steve Smith catching another one. And Brashad Perryman is coming up, man. He's up and coming in the league, and he got another touchdown. Brashad Perryman had 3 catches that game for 64 yards with 1 touchdown, as we talked about. For receiving for the Browns, none of them got over 50 yards receiving. Terrell Pryor was the only one that came close, and he only got 48 yards. 2 yards off of 50 yards. None of them have 50 yards receiving. None of their receivers. Now you want to talk about running. Crowell, when he torched us the first time we played, even though we came back and we smacked him up, he torched us the first time. Crowell in this game only got 23 yards on 9 carries. They 100% gave up on the run game. It just was not happening. And with Ravens starting to go off after the second half, because in the first half it was 7-6 with the Browns winning, and then second half it was a wrap. We started smoking boots, man. McCown fumbled twice. One of them were recovered by the Browns. He lost one of them. But guys, just total domination by the Ravens in the second half. The first half really had me nervous. Like, yo, we're losing to the Browns. This is looking like a good game. This is looking like a close game. The Ravens are always having fucking close games. And I'm just like, bro, like, hopefully this, like, dude, I will burn my Joe Flacco jersey, but I don't want to burn my Joe Flacco jersey. I spent a lot of money on that jersey. But I'm watching this game and I'm tweeting about it and everything, and I'm just like, yo, like, why are we in a close game with the Browns right now? Like, I know they're division rivals, and every time you play a division rival, this is what people don't understand. Well, they don't want to understand. When you play division rivals, it's always most times it's gonna be close. If anything else, it's going to be a hard-fought win. Regardless if it ends up being a blowout or whatever. Like the first half, it was 7-6 and we were down. You know, we ended up scoring 3 touchdowns afterwards and getting the 2-point conversion to make it 21, and then scoring another touchdown after that and kicking the extra point. You know what I mean? We ended up scoring and stuff and making it happen in the second half, but the first half was a dogfight. You know, 2 of our offensive linemen even got hurt in that game. You know, it's always a dogfight. Like I always remind people every time, like when they said we almost lost to the Browns in the first game we played, and this time, you know, after the first half, you know, it was looking like a close game. Everybody was talking shit. But I always remind them, like, even when the Seahawks were going to championships, and they were like, oh, the Seahawks is a beast team, and the Rams weren't shit. Even they struggled against the Rams. Even they lost to the Rams at one point. You know what I mean? Like, they always have tough games with the Rams and stuff like that. And I always bring that up. People just need to understand, when you're going against division rivals, it's a totally different game, man. Every team is playing like it's a fucking playoff. You know, they're all playing like it's a playoff game. They want to beat division teams, man. That's teams that you really hate. Fuck them. I want to beat them. You know what I mean? Everybody tries their hardest. It's just a different environment when you're playing division teams. Thankfully, the Ravens stepped up in the second half, and we didn't have a close game with the Browns, and we ended up just smacking them, and it wasn't a nail biter like Ravens games usually are for no fucking reason. But yeah, man, we ended up just smacking them. Pure domination. Like I said, I read you guys some of these stats, man. Even the Ravens defense, if I'm not mistaken, we had 4 sacks. Here we go. Yeah, 4 sacks. Joe Flacco actually only got sacked twice that game. And again, there was 2 quarterbacks that played for the Browns in this game. Joe Flacco only got sacked twice. And the reason why that is, like, obviously you don't want your quarterback getting sacked ever, but the reason why that was so good is we didn't have Marshall Yanda that game. Marshall Yanda did not play in the Browns game. He didn't even suit up. So we're missing our star offensive lineman in Marshall Yanda. And then on top of that, two offensive linemen for the Ravens got hurt in that Browns game. So we're down 3 offensive linemen in that fucking game. You know, and Joe Flacco only got sacked twice. And then on top of that, that's a division rival game. And on top of that, Joe Flacco plays like shit in the regular season. And he did play like shit in this game. The first half, he threw 2 picks. Well, like I said, I don't think the second interception was in the first half, but whatever. You know, he still threw 2 interceptions, so he plays like shit, even though he threw for damn near 300 yards. Whatever, man. But again, pure domination by Baltimore, man. Brashad Perriman is starting to step up. Steve Smith is starting to play better. You know, he's starting to recover from that injury, man. If Steve Smith has 5 catches for 60 yards with 1 touchdown, he's definitely starting to show that he's becoming more healthy. And Mike Wallace is starting to even do better for the Ravens, man. I see that like it looks like he's starting to learn the playbook more because they're starting to do more things with Mike Wallace, which is always a good thing. He had 4 catches for 59 yards. So we had three receivers in this Browns game that had over 50 yards. We had Perriman with 64, we had Steve Smith with 60, and we had Mike Wallace with 59. And we even had Kenneth Dixon with 42 yards, and that's a running back. He had 42 yards receiving, man. So that when you got players playing like this, man, and doing what they have to do, and Joe Flacco only gets sacked twice, and you have 3 offensive linemen injured in that game. Well, one didn't even play, but 2 offensive linemen during that game, and you still have that kind of protection. Really good. It was nice to see, man, especially with the Browns getting Jamie Collins and him not really doing shit in that game. Fucking great. But yeah, man, that's it. I'm sorry we didn't have like a lot of crazy shit to talk about, and like, you know, usually, especially like when that Steelers game, I was talking hella shit. The Browns, we swept them. That's something we could definitely get hype about as Baltimore Ravens fans, man. We swept the Cleveland Browns, and a lot of people, especially on Twitter, were talking like, oh, it's just the Cleveland Browns. Like, yeah, it's just the Cleveland Browns to you. The reason why it's just the Cleveland Browns, the 0-10 Cleveland Browns to you, is because you're not in our division. You know, you're not in the AFC. You know, so you're not in the AFC North, and it doesn't mean anything. You're not a Ravens fan, you're not a Steelers fan, and you're not a Bengals fan. So for your team, which is probably whatever, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Falcons, whatever, you sweep the, well, not sweep because you guys wouldn't play them twice, but you know what I mean? You guys beat the Cleveland Browns, whatever, they're 0 whatever, they're trash. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't really mean anything to you guys. But for us, there are division rivals. So that means something to us. We swept them. So we don't play the Cleveland Browns anymore this season. They can get a chance at redemption next year. We already have 1 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, and so we have another game coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we still have 2 games against the Cincinnati Bengals. So with that being said, 1 team we don't even have to worry about anymore. We swept them. We still have to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 1 more time, and we still have to beat the Bengals 2 times. We have 2 games coming up against them in the upcoming weeks. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, man. That is the recap for Week 10 up against the Cleveland Browns. It wasn't too exciting unless you were a Baltimore Raven fan, seeing your team ball out like that, especially after losing 4 games in a row, and then we come back and win 2 games in a row against division rivals at that. We beat Steelers, and now we beat the Browns. It's definitely a great fucking thing. We have our offense is starting to come together. Hopefully, like I said before, man, I hope that this isn't just like our team. Like I talk a lot on Twitter, man. I hope this isn't our team just playing division games and playing them well. I hope we can continue and play other teams in the NFL as well as they're playing right now. You know, we had we beat the Steelers 21-0. And then in garbage time, they scored 2 times, making it look closer, 14-21. And a lot of you Steeler fans had a problem with that. Oh, in garbage time. Yeah, in the 4th quarter, it was 21-0 with like maybe 8 minutes left in the game. It was still 21-0 if I'm not mistaken. You know, you could really try and search it up and stuff like that and try and correct me. No, there was actually 10.5 seconds left in the game. You know, or whatever, 10 minutes and 54 seconds left in the game in the 4th quarter before we actually scored our first touchdown, whatever. That's still garbage time. The game is almost over. The Ravens are sitting back. We drinking mojitos on the sideline. Everybody's fucking high-fiving and firm handshakes around and fucking chest bumps and mannequin challenges and shit like that. You know what I mean? We all having fun. We just chilling. And then, you know, big rapey Ben wants to come and try and make a comeback. No, bitch. Sit on the fucking sideline. You're hurt. You play like shit. Eat the dick up. Okay? But yeah, that's what I meant by garbage time. It's garbage time. Okay? The game was over. The game was over. The Ravens started to fall back. They didn't keep their foot on the pedal like they did against the Browns. You guys seen even in the late in the fourth quarter, the Ravens were still trying to score. We didn't play like that against the Steelers. We just tried to go away with the win. We just tried to walk off with the win. We started to try and like really just chew the clock. And that's another thing that I didn't talk about during the Browns and Ravens game this week. The time of possession. The Ravens had nearly 40 minutes of time possession, 38.36 seconds that the Ravens had possession of the ball. The Browns only had 21.24 seconds. Well, 21 minutes and 20. You guys get it. They only had the ball for 21 minutes. The Ravens had it for 38. We killed them in everything. In passing, in rushing, in just defensive stops, and time possession. Time possession is so huge for a team, especially when you're losing and you're trying to come back. You need the ball within your offense. You need to make these drives. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you would want them short, you know, because you need more time to try and make a comeback. But, you know, for the Ravens to hold on to the ball for as long as they did and control the clock and control the game. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful game by the Baltimore Ravens. Hopefully, this could be like our turning point, well, turning back point, you know, because we went like, what, 3-0, 4-0, something like that, and then we lost 4 in a row. So hopefully we can start making a comeback and trying to make the playoffs. Like I said before, we already took one team out of the equation for division leaders. We took the Browns out. Don't have to worry about them at all. We swept them. We got one win over the Steelers, and we still have another game versus the Steelers, and we still have 2 games with the Cincinnati Bengals. But guys, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If y'all did, make sure to leave a like and a comment. I will see you guys on the next one. I'm out of here.